I'm Pat Leslie, and I'm the director of the social work program in the Department of Sociology and Social Work. And over the last year, I've had the wonderful opportunity to be a trained peer evaluator for my fellow colleagues. I've done both post-tenure and pre-tenure evaluations, and I have to tell you, although I was scared at first, it's been an amazing experience. I've learned so much from my colleagues, not only in terms of looking at how they apply various pedagogy and how they structure their classes and how they interact with their students, but also the nuances of how a pedagogy can be, a technique can be used just slightly differently from one faculty to the next. And then I get to share that information with the next person I see. It's amazing. I've had a chance to be in a variety of departments, both at the graduate and the undergraduate level, and to see the difference in rigor and scholastic ability and student profile. It's just been as much of an education for me as it has been for someone else. I have to selfishly say that at first it took me some time to figure out what I was doing, what steps and what processes and what paperwork and how to evaluate. And after doing the first one or two, it really became a rhythm. It became almost just a simple science of here's what you do, here's how you approach it. You've got the rubrics. There's a great website or a great piece in Canvas that walks you through the process. And you just become very comfortable, and then you can help your colleagues be comfortable with it as well. Very selfishly as well, is that I am preparing for my own post-tenure evaluation next year. And this process has helped me not only know what I need to be prepared for, but to fine-tune not only my classroom activities, but my course structure and the paperwork. So it's well worth it to me. I hope you'll join us. Thanks.
Hey guys, I'm Dave Cummings from the biology department, and I've been a trained peer evaluator since the beginning. I have evaluated many classes. Many of you have been able to evaluate your courses. Really enjoyed the process. It's been a privilege to do it, honestly, to be able to sit in on your courses, to ask questions, to learn from you guys. I'm not an excellent teacher, I know that, and I have the opportunity really to sit in and study how you guys do things and pick up all kinds of great little tips and tricks along the way, and I really appreciated that. Being a TPE has been a great experience. For that reason, personally, I think it's improved my teaching tremendously. I've gotten so many great ideas from you. I've also gotten to know some of you that maybe I didn't know before, or we just didn't know each other nearly as well. So it's really been a wonderful experience all around. So there is some work up front for the TPE. I probably put in 2, 3 hours, 4 hours tops ahead of time before visiting the classroom. And then there's the time to show up in the classroom and spend some time there, and you're taking notes during the class period as well. And then afterwards, I probably put in another 1 to 2 hours writing up my evaluation and processing it, and then another meeting with the faculty member, and then ultimately writing up the final documentation that goes to the dean's office. All told, a single evaluation is probably less than 10 hours worth of work. Realistically, it might be 5 or 6 hours worth of work under most circumstances. The amount of work involved in being a TPE is nothing compared to what I get out of it personally. I absolutely love being a TPE. I've learned so much. I've been here 13 years now, and I've wanted to visit so many of your classes, and I've wanted to get to know so many of you, and so now I finally have an excuse to do that. And I really do feel like over the last couple of years I've become a better teacher because of the classes that I've evaluated, and so I'm getting far more out of this than I'm putting into it, and I don't regret it a bit, and I would strongly recommend becoming a TPE if you have the opportunity.
I'm Jamie Gates, and I teach in the Department of Sociology and Social Work. I'm a tenured faculty, and I've been here for 16 years. So I have been TPE'd. I have been evaluated, and Dave Cummings was the person who eventually evaluated me. I had asked for someone else, so I'm incredibly disappointed that I got the bottom of the barrel. Okay, to be honest, I couldn't have lucked out more, because Dave was one of the most gracious, thorough evaluators, least intimidating by the way that the process worked, I'll put it that way. My preparation ahead of time Not a lot more than I do for getting evaluated in other ways. So I had to pull together some extra materials for Dave and for him to see ahead of time. Because we have everything on Canvas these days, that was very simple. I just gave him access to look through the course, to see some of the assignments, some of the major assignments that were required, and to give him a sense for the context for the course. But I will tell you, I have never had anybody sit and with a sort of in a timed way take careful notes, detailed notes on the way in which I'm teaching and the way in which, and observe the rest of the classroom, observe the students, see what their responses or non-responses were, to monitor things like who's checking out, and what percentage of the room is checking out during that particular lesson, and it was super helpful to have sort of an ethnography of a class period. It's a deeply meaningful process. We met afterwards then, and he went through the notes that he had taken. He went through his own evaluation of what he had seen happen. Because he had done this with other classes, he had had some experience. He could compare and contrast, give me some perspective on how that related to other professors and their teaching styles, their teaching habits, the better practices and maybe the not so good practices that he's seen in other places. So I found it really helpful. In fact, it'd be something interesting to happen on a more regular basis than just at some point, but that would make us all too busy. So I have been TPE'd, survived the process, and lived to tell the story. I guess my first piece of advice is don't be nervous. It's a trusted colleague who's wanting to help you improve the work that you're doing. As much transparency as you can give. Help your colleague understand the context for what you're teaching, why you're teaching, what you're doing, the method you've chosen, why you've chosen it. And if you haven't thought through those things very carefully, that's what this process is all about, is to help us think through those processes. So understand that the intent is to help find the good things you're doing, affirm those, and maybe find some gaps to help fill those gaps. And if you're open to that process, and you probably, like me, like all of us, we're constantly self-critical, you want to allow somebody's critical perspective to be not as critical as you are probably of yourself. No, I am not a TPE, have not been trained, and probably owe that to my colleagues, but at this point, no. And frankly, when a colleague asks me, that's a high honor. So I would consider it, yes.